All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new edition of By The BAE. Honestly, today of all days, very proudly sponsored by HomefieldApparel.com. Make sure you use the code BAE25 for 15% off your first order. I'm hearing there's some pretty cool national championship merch on sale from the good brands, the faithful followers of Indiana. Hoosiers.
Not for USF's national championship winning cheerleading team? We don't get merch for that?
Mayhaps. Not yet.
I can interest you in sailing as the closest national championship team represented for Homefield at USF. But again, use the code BAE25 for 15% off your first order, or use the affiliate link in the description in wherever you get your podcast from. I'm your host, Nathan Bond. Joined alongside me, Seth Varnadore, Robert Steeg. Special guest, Collin Sherwin, is hopping on to kind of talk all things basketball. I think that's probably where we're going to focus our attention with Collin, but we'll touch on some portal stuff and kind of get into everything that's been going on around the University of South Florida over the last couple of weeks. Steeg, brother, the portal technically is closed. It's been does MLK Day count as one of the county days for business?
I found out that it is still open until tomorrow.
Oh, good God.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we were thinking we'd plan this perfectly, but there's still technically 24 more hours. By the time you hear this, it'll be the last day that some names may start matriculating through into the portal. So we'll keep an eye on that as we move forward.
Is that the cutoff for the people in the national championship?
This is the regular. The national championship, I think, still has until Friday.
Yeah. Just due to Martin Luther King Jr. Day, everything gets pushed back because it's not technically a business day. Shout out, I had the day off yesterday. God bless banks and credit unions. But Steve, we're closing in. We did get a couple of new commits to this 2026 recruiting class. Just high level, the guys that have portaled out, portaled in, how are you feeling? Gut reaction, base level talent coming into 2026 for the South Florida Bulls?
Yeah, I mean, we'll just rip the Band-Aid off. You're probably not going to replicate a lot of the talent that had left the portal, particularly at quarterback. Obviously, you're not going to be replacing Byron Brown for probably a while, as far as his ability to replicate and do things. Wide receiver probably took a bit of a hit, losing guys like Keyshawn Singleton, young guys like Christian Neptune, obviously stink. And then like defensively, just losing like a guy like Fred Gaskin, like a nominal leader, and a lot of guys with some great potential throughout the process as well, like a Gavin Jenkins. But, you had to feel at least a little good with some of the production that was brought in, or at least the untapped production. That is probably the name of the game for USF. You do have a few guys with just absolute units of numbers to go off of, particularly at running back. You have a lot of really good production at the FCS level there. Some offensive linemen who have a lot of snaps and were all conference in their respective positions. But, for the most part, pretty unproven quarterbacks coming in, some pretty unproven wide receivers coming in with just sky high potential. And then just a lot of piecemealing, the defensive line, the linebackers, DBs, et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot of good. I like a lot of what they brought in. I'm excited about what they brought in. It's just going to be very different. And this is not a USF issue. This is a college football issue. I mean, everyone is going through massive levels of attrition and change and turnover, and a lot of it doesn't make sense in some regards. So, we are where we are. Get to learn some new names and some new faces for the next couple of months here.
Yeah, what you mentioned, 40 guys portaled in, plus the high school guys. I mean, most of this roster going into 2026 is going to be brand new. Seth, how quickly can a team gel when you're replacing literally 70 to 75% of either just the bodies, the production? I mean, you're replacing essentially the entire support staff as well, with everybody moving up to the plains.
Yeah, I think it'll take some time to kind of really see it felt like the team this past year was pretty tight knit in a lot of places because some guys have been here together for a while. It's going to probably take a while to get to that, but everybody's got a common goal. Everybody's coming here to maximize their value one way or the other. So I think in that sense, you'll see teams come together, and I think you're starting to see, coaches even kind of change their plans to fit that in terms of scheme, make it easier to learn, cultural stuff. I'm sure they'll have to again emphasize guys getting together a little bit more just because they don't have that kind of shared experience. So I don't think that'll be a huge issue. It will be interesting to see some of these because they've got a lot of talented guys, some guys that I think can come in and play pretty well, and they probably still should be near the top of the conference in terms of total talent. But there's going to be some inexperience, I think, and some maybe not guys aren't quite proven at some key spots that if they hit, you're in really good shape. If they don't, is your talent enough to kind of carry you past the rest of the teams of the conference? I don't know if it will be enough, but we'll see.
As a pretty successful high school offensive coordinator, Seth, what's been your go-to thing to kind of get the team together, camaraderie within the offensive unit? Like, what was your favorite thing to do?
Oh, I mean, I think in meeting times and just these kids, a lot of these guys will hang out in school. That's the thing. Like at a high school level, you won't get as much. Even like I'm sure these guys don't lift all together. Like maybe they do, maybe they have morning, but a lot of times it's kind of segmented. Or at least it used to be. Maybe now with how many kids taking online classes, maybe they're more. But in the past, at places, it's been a certain amount of guys have their weightlifting time now, and then this group comes later. So the only time you're really all together is in meetings and practice. So I think meeting time is really important. Spending time with them, feeding them, I think is a good one. Rewarding them for things, bringing them in, feeding them seems to be a big one that they enjoy. So anytime you give them food, that seems to be a big one, especially if they earned it by hitting a point threshold or breaking a record or something like that. So that always goes pretty well.
And I'll open this to the room. Collin, Steeg, Seth. Obviously, looking at the portal, you have some of your guys. You got your Bryson Rogers, you got the Zaquan Bryan, Marshawn Oxley. There's some Power 4, Power 5 conference transfers. The quarterback situation with Michael Van Buren and Luke Cromenhook. There's a lot of FCS transfer ups that are going to be on this 2026 roster. Does any of that give you any pause as USF tries to backfill the dearth of talent that left either via graduation or the portal?
I mean, to me, I don't think so. I'll jump in here. Sometimes it's like, who are you recruiting against? And you'll see some of these guys, like I know one of the tackles that was an FCS guy, they beat out Memphis for him. So, team programs that have some kind of idea of what they're doing when you're beating those guys out. And then you just saw Indiana, and now everyone relax. Indiana is going to ruin everyone's expectations for a while. But in terms of one thing they did that they really stressed was proven production. So if you're getting guys, I think, that have been productive at an FCS level, I mean, production at the FCS level is much more important than production at the high school level. It's much more apples to apples, where it's totally different games, right? So, you'd much rather have productive guys coming in, and I think proven production means something. Signetti talked about it means at least the guy can stay healthy and he can do what he's supposed to do, because that means he's played a lot. So I think those kind of things can translate, and then I'm sure they do a pretty good job of understanding what measurables translate as well. So, especially with it was I think we're still kind of feeling the recruiting fallout from the COVID year, where like kids not being able to get out, kids fell through the cracks. There's still kind of weird things. Sometimes, you know, recruiting starts sometimes in your sophomore year. And so like you're still seeing, I think, like a ripple effect from that a little bit, where guys may have fallen through cracks and you can kind of go get them. And then, you know, there's just so many people playing football. It's hard to find everyone that can play. So it seems like now you're finding those guys earlier in their college career instead of whereas before you'd find like a Danny Woodhead in the 7th round of the NFL draft. Now Danny Woodhead may have been found and been playing for somebody, you know, at the FBS level his last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I would be less worried about it now than I think ever in the history of college football. I mean, we just saw a bunch of JMU kids win a national championship last night. Like, you know, it's a different, it's just a different world now. And I think, you know, the way there's multiple ways to skin the cat. One is, you know, a lot of freshmen, a lot of FTIC kids hope you can grow them together and keep them together. But another way is, you know, get yourself a bunch of 4th and 5th year kids that are bigger, kids that have started to put on their man-sized bodies at 23, sometimes 24 years old, and that, you know, have shown that they have gotten better. You know, we take these kids, so sometimes we're projecting out. Everybody wants the Jeremiah Smith and the Malachi Tony. Well, yeah, we all want those guys, but you might be better off for the next specific season taking a bunch of kids that are 23, 24, and have a better way. Maybe they're not going to develop as much, but you don't need them to develop. You just need them to win right now. So I mean, you're right. You know, Seth, we're all still trying to figure this out on the fly here. I think the Indiana model, though, after, you know, 16-0 and everything, I think a lot of teams are going to start to flow into that. And I think it might be a lot less emphasis on FTIC recruiting, at least until we can get some arms around the portal. Because why do you want to take a flyer on a 17 or an 18-year-old kid that can leave you if he's good? Or you can take a 23 or a 24-year-old kid who's probably going to be able to help you, who has a proven track record, who's got some measurable stats. That kid can probably help you a lot more right now than the 17 or the 18-year-old.
And I think the other side of that would be that because of that, the FCS is probably more talented now than it's ever been. So the production is a lot more kind of substantial, because as somebody who's on like the other end of it now with, you know, high school kids that are, you know, in the past would have been low, you know, maybe FCS type kids. Like, they're hard pressed to get a D2 offers because D2s are looking for transfer portal quarterbacks and D2s are looking for transfer portal receivers because so it's all kind of trickling down. So I would guess the FCS level is probably the most talented it's ever been. So it's a little bit better than I think it was in the past. So there's probably should be less stigma on getting those guys that have been productive, because I think the football's kind of gone up a little bit.
Don't watch that I was gonna say, if you watch that FCS championship game, don't go as that as the gauge. That was just a really bad football game. But for the most part, I agree with you, Seth. It seems like FCS football is definitely those my teams this year. For the most part, were really good.
Steeg, as someone who's kind of followed the portal for the last 2 months, 2.5 months, what's been kind of the through thread for this conference? So, you know, a couple of players, teams that are kind of competing against each other. I know USF, Memphis, Tulane are all always competing against each other for recruits. What's been the kind of reoccurring theme that you've seen through your Portal Watch 2025 that can kind of maybe help people navigate this, at least the fans navigate what the future may hold for the portal and USF football going forward?
It's a rodeo. Like, watching it unfold from my perspective, where I don't have the ends of what goes down and everything like that. But I mean, the overarching thing is the amount of relationship, like cross-pollination, that happens is arguably like the most important thing that happens here. Because, and I mentioned this, like, when you enter the transfer portal, realistically, the transfer portal is just the home for, hey, I want to be found. And so the second that a player enters the portal, everyone follows them on social media, like just instantly. And so then it becomes, how can you leverage your position as an assistant coach, a head coach, or whatever, to get this prospective player? It's the worst version of Tinder you'll ever see, because everything is coming at you at the exact same time. And everyone is trying to get you to visit immediately, to come look at facilities immediately. No one is going to commit to a school before visiting, bar none. And so it's so just chaotic to watch it all unfold, because there's 5,000 missing and revolving pieces just going all on at the same time. It's chaos to watch. And I have the utmost respect to the guys that don't get as much credit, the recruiting folks on the back end. You know, a lot of people, and my friends at home kind of messaged me about this. They're like, how are you supposed to recruit when you basically don't even have like a complete coaching staff? You know, we had Terry Braden on staff. He ended up, don't know what happened. He ended up going somewhere else. So you have no defensive line coach. So how can these guys, you know, commit to a program where they don't have a position coach yet? So you don't know who you're going to be talking to day in and day out. And realistically, I don't know, but you'll always find someone there. Someone's always willing to take the chance to be at your school. You just have to find them at the right time. And I mean, it's still going on. And so these guys that cover recruiting for these colleges and universities and everything like that are the absolute godsend of what is happening right now. They're the ones that are gathering all the information, how many years of eligibility, what their practice film looked like, cutting it all up, getting it over to these coaches for them to review it every hour of the day to say, okay, yeah, we'll take a chance on the, you know, the kid that only played 5 snaps at Oregon State. You know, his practice film looks pretty good. Let's bring him in for a visit, talk to him about what the program's vision is, and then hope to God that they say yes to what you're trying to sell them. And that doesn't even include the money that some of these guys want. Like the fact that all of this happens in a 2-week span is just nuts. And I am so glad at least the outward stuff is about to be done. I'm still like kind of sitting by a bated breath, waiting for what I assume to be about 2 or 3 more transfers out that I have heard the inkling of. And really, like, we won't know until they announce it. Like, it's the weirdest version of sports ever. This makes no sense that we just gotta wait until someone posts it on social media to know if it's happening or not.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at this point. And we'll kind of dig deeper into the portal. There's some advanced stuff that we want to look at, some more in-depth on some of the new guys. We'll answer your Q&As in the Ponderosa here shortly. Do want to kind of switch gears here. It is technically basketball season. Basketball has been played recently. Your South Florida Bulls men's basketball team blew a double-digit lead to Wichita State at home on Sunday to lose in overtime. Collin, the floor is yours. Remember, this is Pod by the BAE, so don't give away anything super juicy. Save it for the Ponderosa. But the floor is yours.
Oh, I don't even know I'm going to make the Ponderosa today. But in terms of juicy,
terrible
I would
tease.
just say that, look, this, you know, I watched a lot of this team. College basketball this year is super interesting just because of the, you know, the ups and downs and all the portal movement. You know, you're just sort of assessing teams on the fly. I'm looking at USF as much as I'm looking at probably like 100, 120 other teams. But I watch every USF game, obviously. And for me, this is just a really interesting team in that here's what I know about them. I know Isaiah Nelson is really good. Like, that might not be a surprise to some people, but I think he is legitimately a borderline pro kind of guy. And I don't know if he's eligible for a 5th year or not with these new rules. Who the heck knows? He certainly played all of his years at Arkansas State. and it wouldn't be like a redshirt kind of anything, but that kid just legitimately a very, very good basketball player and clearly the best player on this team. Other than that, I've never seen a team, not just a USF team, but like any team that is so up and down based on who they're playing, where they play, pace of the game. They're 17th in the country in pace. It seems like they should be even, faster than that. But, also 14% of their shots get blocked. And that's just wild for almost 1 in 6 of the shots that you take from the floor in a modern college basketball game. That's counting the layups, that's counting dunks, that's counting everything. And to have 14% of them get packed, nuts. They're so up at Wes Enos, whatever clearly a good player, but runs as hot and cold as anyone in the country. Some of my favorite stat line is since he returned from his 2-game injury, he scored 36, 3, 32, 14, and 14. We'll try and get a gauge on how that's going to translate to later in the season, because I sure as hell can't. You know what I mean? They're just very, very up and down. They get some big leads. Sometimes they come back. Against Tulsa, I thought they showed a lot of grit and gumption and did a really nice job against a team that's good. That's a Q1 win right now is that at Tulsa game. And I thought they just really locked down in the second half, played really effective, efficient basketball, and were really good. And then against Wichita, I'm like, oh, well, we got this. Second half looking pretty good. At the 30-minute mark, they were up 5, but it seemed pretty comfortable. If you look at the chart, the win expectancy chart, with about about 5 minutes left, less than 5 minutes left, they're about 94% to win the game, and then just punted it into outer space. Couldn't make a shot, couldn't get a stop. Got out hustled on a couple of plays. This is just a really, really weird team, and what you're going to get every day, I think the thing is that the ceiling is really high, but the floor is way down here, and with the it's about the toughest team to bet in the country, I'd say, from a gambling perspective, because you just don't know what you're going to get. And the other thing is that now the Joe Lunardi had them on the next 4 out. Going into that game against Wichita, his latest had them possibly, if they could have found a way to win like 13 of their last 15 or something like that, they're not going to have a lot of opportunity for quality wins, but they had some opportunity to, to just sort of like maintain and make a run. But, that Wichita game's really going to hurt. And it's probably, we're probably now in the realm of, okay, they're going to have to win a conference tournament. Even if they win out at this point, it would come down to the bids from the other team. So 3-2 in the league right now. You see a lot of potential wins, but you also feel like they could stub their toe at some point. They do get another shot against Tulsa, and they still have Memphis twice, but that Memphis team is not very good either. I think I could argue that USF is clearly a much better basketball team than Memphis right now. And that, as if USF plays to their potential, I think they are absolutely a better team. So yeah, this is kind of where this basketball team is, and I don't really know what to make of it. They play one way, which is they're going to go. They're going to run up and down. They're going to go. They're going to pound the rock. They're going to look for passes. They're going to take some weird angles that you don't see a lot of college teams take, especially when they get into the paint. Nelson, throw him a lob. He's going to catch it and dunk it. And the way that they're able to get penetration in the paint and throw it up and get that lob, because they're going to force that big to face the ball a lot, because they're going to be able to beat a man off the dribble. And as soon as that big faces, that lob is there. Nelson can finish. It's clearly a good finisher around the rim. When he's not on the floor, the drop-off is pretty significant, I'd say. But other than that, man, game to game, you just don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
And, they got one way to play. It's not like they can change up what they're doing. This is who they are. And I don't think you're going to see this team like run a lot of zone and Princeton cuts anytime soon. That's for sure. What they're doing is either going to work or it's not going to work. That's it.
Yeah. And, in conference play, they are tempo adjusted. They're second in the conference. They're 17th in the country. Like full speed Always, always, always. Their next game is on the road at UAB on Thursday. I believe that's 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Kind of just a quick tease as we'll talk more about it in the
Yeah, they're gonna be favored in that game, by the way. Like UAB is down this year and is not. I think UAB is the kind of team that usually bangs bodies and hits. They tend to. I think they struggle a little bit more with contact than some other teams do. I think they would much rather get up and down and not really get hit. But that UAB team is one that I think that, if they can continue to keep the ball in the air and keep it moving, I think they'll be okay.
There's only 3 scheduled losses via Ken Palm the rest of the way, and they're all within a possession. So, there's some damage to be done in this conference. I know. There's some damage to be done in this conference. This is clearly a one-bid league. You got to win the tournament, or you're not seeing March or anything meaningful in March, I should say. It's just the conference that the best guys kind of got poached, and that's kind of where you're at this point with this league. And still somehow Penny has a job, but I digress.
For now.
Yeah, that Memphis team should be that Memphis team should be so much better.
Penny Hardaway has a job. It is currently Tuesday, January 20th at 9.
Oh, he'll finish the season. Oh, he's finishing the season. We're never gonna fire Penny midseason.
Just in case people decide to listen back in March to the podcast that we had. I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah, the losses that Memphis had over the holiday tournaments. Where do they go? They went to the Bahamas and just had some real opportunities there and just left them on. That Vanderbilt game is going to torture them. When it comes to March Madness, they lost in OT, and if they had gotten that one, it maybe one more, they could still certainly be in the mix for an at-large. They played a really tough schedule, but yeah, it is a one-bid league, and the Tulsa team, losing us. Ironically, it's losing us that probably hurt Tulsa's chance at an at-large as well. Tulsa's played a lot of good basketball this year. If they get swept by us, they're going to probably be in trouble. Tulsa's 15-3, but 2 of their losses were in the league to North Texas and South Florida. Other than that, they ain't played nobody, Paul. They don't have a win under 100. Against a top 100 team anywhere else.
Schedule merchants.
I got a question. I got a question for you guys that have watched the team a little bit more closely. So looking at Ken Palm, looking at Bart Torvik, looks like their luck rating is pretty low.
Yeah.
And on the other side, is that kind of factored into it? They don't allow a ton of threes to be taken, but the percentage people are making is really high. So do they allow just a ton when they allow threes, or are they just allowing open threes?
They blitz the ball a lot. They jump balls. And so when you jump balls, when you go after teams, when you press, when you double ball handlers, when you double things like that, sometimes and then the rotation doesn't get there on the backside. As a gambler, when I see a guy get doubled, and the best at this is Braden at Purdue. When he can split the double, or they push him out to the wing, you ice the screen and then you push him out, and that kid splits it. Braden Smith at Purdue. As soon as he gets to the paint, I know that ball's going opposite corner. He's either going to have a lob to the paint because the big's going to face, or he's going to be able to shoot it to the opposite corner and shoot the three. And a lot of teams against us get that opposite corner three when the driver's able to split the defense. I
gotta also say this: the Yingling Center, famous for getting right on your 3-point shooting as the opposing team coming in.
Also accurate.
That should factor into the Ken Palm luck rankings. Is home stadium, Yingling Center. Yes, your third best shooter is going to hit a career high in threes tonight. Thank you.
Good. There's something to that. Good sightline, soft rims. Duke. You want to get healthy. As a road team, you haven't been making a lot of shots. Go play Cameron. Those rims are marshmallows. On the opposite side, famously Dayton, tightest rims in the world. That's certainly a thing. I've shot on that court 1,000 times in my life, probably.
God, it's so tight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tighter than your outdoor basketball court that you're used to playing on, but like it's still for
They don't get the job done.
college team. They get a little marshmallow. Yeah, you get the ball on the rim, you got a pretty good chance to go in. So, yeah.
Speaking
We'll
of
see.
excruciating and awful play and just getting right on the home floor, women's basketball. Woof, brother. As we're recording, horrible loss to Temple tonight, Tuesday, 86-83. Temple shot 50%, which is almost 20% higher than their season average from three. God, come on,
Nathan. Would you like to provide the update for us on losses?
Is that 6?
6.
That is so between football, men's basketball, and women's basketball, they have 6 losses by a combined 15 points.
That is unbelievable. USF was 8 of 12 from 3 in this game and lost.
Carlo Brito hit like 5 threes. We got another like this is USF when people talk about this is USF in a nutshell. USF gets an otherworldly performance and loses. And in any other school, it's complete. Wesleyan has scored 36 points and loses. Carlo Brito hits
NOT
5 threes in a game. 5 threes, I think, is what I counted.
5 threes.
5
threes in a game. 16 was 8 of 12.
No. Yeah. Oh, yes. 5 of 6. Yep.
5 threes by Carlo Brito. Famously not shooting threes, Carlo Brito. May lose. Yeah. The Tim Robinson gift cannot be more like I could drive that into the ground with how excruciating this is.
So yeah, USF out rebounds Temple by 7 on the road, shoots 8 of 12 from 3, 32 of 66 from the floor overall, and loses 21-16 on personal fouls, and had Lou and Battle both had 4, and Fatu fouled out as well after just 19 minutes of play. Yeah, I didn't watch the game, but that is just, man, that is a tough loss.
I think the rebounding stat might be a little skewed. I was watching the live broadcast of it. We had about, I'd say, 7 offensive rebounds within like a minute and 25 second span that came away with what I would recall to be 2 points.
Wow.
So
16
I'm looking at
offensive
stat
rebounds
broadcast
as a team. Yeah, so 16 offensive rebounds, and that is brutal. Oh my God. That's gonna hurt. Bulls fall to 12-8 on the season. And
they're squarely 6th in the conference at this point, 5th in the conference behind Rice, who's still undefeated, ECU at 5-1, Tulsa and UTSA are 4-1, USF and UNT 5-2. Temple improved to 2-4 in the conference.
Yeah, that's good. Good for them.
Not great, Dan. Yeah, and Rice.
We need the Ponderosa for what I want to say.
Oh, well, we were
one day closer to March, baby.
Rice is 67 in the NET. USF 72 entering today. USF will obviously fall down probably to the 80s after that loss. So that is a tough one.
I do find it funny and a little bit reassuring that we're probably going to lose. We're probably going to drop a few spots, like both for like net and for women's net and everything like that. But they're still like comfortably like in the top 90, and they probably will be unless like they have like a string of like really bad losses. Like I don't know if USF was just like in favor of like, or USF is getting the in favor of their predecessor or anything like that. But it seems like metrically, like both of these teams have an inexplicable bad loss, but they're still pretty good. Like I think that's a fair thing to say. Their ceilings are unbelievably high. Their floors are unbelievably low. You don't want to play either one of these teams in March in the conference tournament. Both of them could very easily still win their respective conference tournaments.
Sure.
They both could also get bounced in the first round by 22 points.
Also very accurate.
Yeah. They're very similar teams in a way. At least, statistically, how they get there is different, but in terms of like overall rating and the quality of the league they're in, they're pretty similar. So we're gonna need 3 wins, maybe 4 wins in Birmingham, kids. I mean, for both teams to sniff the NCAA's. But I think they're both NIT teams. You know what I mean? Like I'd be surprised if both didn't make the NIT.
Yeah.
So in a year one situation with Hodgson, and Michelle coming in very last minute to take over for Jose, I don't think that's necessarily like the worst result either.
It is for Steeg.
It'd be nice to have a better team this year though against the quality of the league, because the league is pretty bad this year.
Bad,
both ways.
awful.
Yeah.
All right. That will do it for By The BAE. Make sure you guys use BAE 25 for 15% off the first order. Go check out the national championship merch. There's some cool USF stuff on there as well. Like I said, since September of 2025, start prepping for the holiday season. It gets here quicker than you know it.
Valentine's is up next.
Valentine's. They have socks.
Hey, maybe the significant other in your life wants an idea for a gift.
There we go. Send it their way. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Tell your friends. Be smart. Stay safe. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.